23rd of June, and number of the day is 10%, and it's not a good 10%, Francis heard, for South Korea's stock market.
No, it crashed down 10%.
Wow.
It's called the KOPSI, if you didn't know.
It's called the KOPSI.
Yeah, that's the main exchange in South Korea, the KOPSI. Down 10%, and they actually halted trading, which stock markets are allowed to do when something falls too quickly. I've only seen it once during my career. I think it was African Bank on the JSE, and there was just a sell-off. And the idea is that something can go from a huge market capitalization to almost nothing because there's panic selling and everyone starts selling. So
because
the
everyone else is selling.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's driven by emotion and panic. And the idea is that a good company can almost be wiped out, right? So they're allowed to just calm things down a little bit by actually stopping trade. But 10% down before they stop trade. And we're seeing, it started yesterday, and we're seeing just tech stocks being sold off around the world. So in the US, of course, there's the big chip makers, NVIDIA. South Korea is all because of chip making. Samsung and the other company is Hynix. I'll find the exact name. But South Korea is built on chip making for AI technologies, right? Then in America, it's NVIDIA, it's chip makers, and then the likes of Amazon, Google, SpaceX that was flying into the stratosphere after its initial public listing is down 20%, although it's still above the IPO, but it's down 20%. So there seems to be some concern about technology stocks, particularly those linked to artificial intelligence. And that is what's going on. And it's not, I mean, we don't have those big tech companies. But obviously we would be affected if this sell-off became deeper and deeper and affected these huge companies. And it depends who you talk to about how serious this is.
And also if you have an issue then with that kind of stock and supply chain management, those that need chips, the cell phone makers, the computers, the NVIDIAs of the world. We saw this as well during the closing down of the Strait of Hormuz. I don't know if you remember, there was a bit of a delay, especially for large corporations that need to update their computers and their servers and their cloud servers. They need these newest, latest, greatest, most powerful chips in the world, and they keep getting new ones. But with the closing of the Strait of Hormuz, there was a backlog.
Yes.
And so some of their services, I can't remember, I want to say it was Amazon, but don't quote me on that.
I remember, you're right. There was a chip shortage.
There was a chip shortage.
Yeah.
And some of their services were not being updated. People couldn't log, like banks couldn't log into their service, all that kind of stuff. So was this actually a bubble that was burst? Was there a bubble?
So there have been fears of a bubble. It may be a bubble. We don't know. And it depends who you speak to. Some people are very concerned that this is a bubble, and they're comparing it to the dot-com bubble that burst in about 2000. And what happened then is that internet companies, anything with a .com, was seen as exciting because people were connecting to the internet. But you had these companies with huge valuations even before they had built anything, even before they had shown that they could get profits in the future. And reality hit, and suddenly everything came crashing down. Now, there have been concerns all the way along about this AI enthusiasm. South Korea has been the best performing market since early 2025 because there's just so much excitement. Others are saying, look, what is happening now, 10% in South Korea, Samsung down by 12%. It's not reason to panic. It's showing that the markets are a bit volatile. We're seeing these swings. But it's not reason to panic. It's a bit of profit taking. Maybe there's a bit of leveling off of these stocks. But the difference is that big companies like Amazon, Alphabet, with Google, NVIDIA that then makes the chips it sells to Amazon, and the likes of Facebook's owner company Meta. They already have a business model, and they are showing profits.
They're functioning already.
They're functioning. They've got something substantial going for them. So many are saying it's not the same. It's different. Maybe there's just a market correction here. But we'll watch and see what happens, because the NASDAQ in the US is very heavy on tech stocks. So we'll see if everything keeps plunging as it looks set to over the next few days.
Yeah, so let's leave it with that then. The worry, of course, is going to be this 10% drop for the South Korean stock market. Is there any sense it's going to bounce back? I'm not too sure how these stock markets work.
And in fact, nobody knows.
Yeah.
So the idea is it going to bounce back? Or is this the beginning of the end? And people will start really assessing AI stocks, all this technology, all the spending on technology, is it going to be worth it? And could we see more falls in future? We will follow closely for you. But right now, the number of the day, 10%, that is the South Korean stock market. Down very quickly, 10%. They actually had to halt trading, and it looks like the sell-off is deepening around the world of tech stocks.